Black Sabbath hit the charts in 1970 with a new brand of heavy rock, swirling with occult imagery. But their dark content led to something they never expected. Some feared them as Satanists.
And we never, ever said that we were into Satan or anything like that.
It wasn't what the band was about at all, not at all.
I had no idea people actually practiced that kind of stuff, so I thought it was just a goof, you know.
Well, back then, the imagery was the only thing that you had to connect that artist. So nobody knew that these guys didn't worship the devil and weren't just, dark Satan lovers.
That first impression would prove difficult to shake. The band had somehow managed to offend people holding completely opposite views. Devil worshippers were disappointed that Black Sabbath wasn't the real thing, and people of traditional faith took to the streets in protest.
That you will die and you will burn in hell.
We had people that were actually very, very dangerous. They wanted to make sure that we didn't live another day.
March 1st, 1971. 2 weeks into their second U.S. tour, halfway through a Memphis show, the anger boiled over.
One guy got on stage once with a big dagger, and he was going to assassinate Tony. Got to the dressing room, and there was this big inverted cross in blood on the dressing room door that this guy had slashed his wrist and sprayed all this blood all over the door.
We had several attacks or potential attacks on us. It became something of a normal thing.
Black magic, no way. They were just really good guys, and all they wanted to do was work and play music. That's all they wanted.
It had all started so innocently for Black Sabbath. They were 4 boys from Birmingham, England, with a big dream. And if ever a city could produce the Godfathers of heavy metal, it was this grim working-class town, which still bore the scars of German bombings years after World War II.
Well, Ozzy and Tony had gone to school with each other.
I never used to hang around with these guys at school. I was in a different level, so a different class.
Ozzy was more of a bit of a nuisance in a way.
It was like the fighting all the time. They're always fighting.
But there was a reason for his manic behavior.
I was incredibly dyslexic. I still am very, very dyslexic. And I suffer from attention deficit disorder, so those two, and they didn't realize what that was in them days.
All 4 came from working-class families. Ozzy's circumstances were the most extreme.
My mother and my father and the 6 of us lived in a 2-bedroom house.
It's a whole different culture where they were raised. I mean, no money.
That's all we knew, so we didn't know anything different,
The landscape was a violent landscape. We had the Irish Republican Army bombing us all the time. Buildings would blow up, That was part of being in Birmingham.
That whole area of the Midlands is a very working class area. You know what I mean? People are hard, there's a lot of attitude, and a lot of the great, heavy, darker music has come from that place in England. I don't think they call it the Black Country for no reason.
I mean, a lot of England is tough. When people make fun of, the British, like, really? Don't do that in Britain, because some guy will come over there and tear your head off.
If life in Birmingham was bleak, prospects for a decent future were even bleaker.
If they could get a job, it was a very difficult job, and it was, they were dangerous jobs.
But there was one way out.
I mean, a lot of young people started bands in England. It was literally a make or break for life. It was, what else am I going to do?
As young teens, all 4 took that chance and gave music a shot. Bill and Tony were the first in.
Everything about him is so genuine. He's not a part-time rock and roller.
The album Paranoid hit #1 on the UK charts and #12 in the States, proving that Black Sabbath's heavy music resonated with rock fans. But the rock press felt very differently.
Critics, I don't think, ever got Black Sabbath, especially in the first couple of albums.
They hated those records. They took every opportunity they could to take a shot at them and take a stab at them.
1-star reviews, people just saying, like, burn this.
They didn't like us. The press didn't like us.
Like, for the good of music, just get rid of this band.
They were prime examples of what went on in the music industry in the early 70s, where it was very rare that the bands actually got any money.